maggot! Do you want to go from this to this? Well, look no further, 'cause you're in the right place. Too easy. In this series, you'll be trained to become the hardest, the baddest, the most feared soldier Tarkov has ever seen. You will crawl, you will sweat, and you will most definitely bleed. Now stop crying and get in line, Timmy. Class is in session. The Tarkov teacher is about to begin. Episode 8, Basic Ballistics.
Hello everyone and welcome to the episode that will explain why dumping your whole mag into a dude didn't do a damn thing. And on this one we shall talk about how ammo works, why the ammo you choose is more important than the gun you build, how armor and penetration works, and not that kind of penetration, that's not relevant for you, trust me. Why armor durability matters, some awesome websites to use, and even some tips from me. So let's start with the Tarkov ammunition. It comes in more kinds, shapes and sizes than IKEA has furniture pieces. And sometimes, different ammo calibers fit in the same magazine. What a nice way to fuck with new players, huh? But it all comes down to two numbers, damage and penetration. Yeah, we're gonna say this word a lot in the video, you have to stop giggling every single time. The damage stat is flat damage the bullet does to your PMC if he's not wearing any armor on him. The penetration stat dictates the probability of the bullet to penetrate a certain armor class or penetrate a certain surface type. Each caliber in the game usually goes from the highest damage but lowest penetration bullet, also known as flash rounds, to the lowest damage but highest penetration, also known as the meta ammo. High pan ammo is usually more rare and more expensive. It's important to know that all ammunitions in the game have different speeds. Since Tarkov simulates realistic bullet flight, that makes the bullet be affected by gravity and air friction, meaning that the further your bullet travels, the slower it gets, and less damage and penetration it does. Basically meaning that the speed of the bullet usually determines how fast it drops, both literally drops, and the damage and penetration stats. In this demonstration I'm gonna compare two bullets. One is a very fast bullet and one is a very slow bullet. You're going to see how the slower bullet has more drop and is not even hitting the scav far away from us, while the fast bullet does hit the scav, but as you can see the scav is not getting one-tapped in the head. That's because the damage of the fast bullet is only 38, but the time it reaches the scav it's already dropped below 35, which is the head HP, meaning this bullet won't one-tap anybody in the head in a longer distance. Some ammunition might also have stats like adding or reducing accuracy percentage, adding or reducing recoil, and the percentage chance for a light or heavy bleed upon hitting an enemy. And now after you know all this, I need you to remember one thing. Ammo is king in Tarkov. No matter how much time you spend pimping out your gun, if you shoot poop ammo out of it, it's a poop gun. So spending all your money on modding a gun and not investing it in good ammo will mean that you won't penetrate shit, just like in real life. And it's a total waste of money. Good ammo, like I said, is ammo that penetrates armor. So let's talk a bit about how armor works in Tarkov. Armor in Tarkov is classed from class 1 to 6. With class 1 is why do you even wear armor kind of armor, and class 6 is oh my god this dude is so handsome kind of armor. But do note that all body armors and most armors in general are class 2 and above. Currently the only armors that are class 1 are ballistic glasses, some armored masks, a pair of helmets, and this magical beanie right over here. Don't ask me why, it's magical. Armor provides protection to specific body areas, which are basically your hitboxes, and each hitbox is connected to a certain limb on the PMC, and what is protected depends on the body armor you wear. You can see which areas an armor protects by hovering this arrow in the armor inspect window. The only areas in the game that currently do not have armor covering them are the arms, the legs, and your armpits. The armpits are thorax hitboxes. Now most armors are a mix of soft aramid protection, which is embedded in the armor piece, meaning it cannot be removed, and ballistic plates that can be swapped in and out as long as they are compatible with the armor. There are some exceptions, like armor which have only soft aramid protection with no plate slots. These are usually early game low tier armors. and armors, which are basically plate carrier rigs that provide plate slots but no soft aramid protection on top of them, which I do not recommend, and I explain later why. Do note that the same armor might have different armor classes protecting different body areas. For example, the front plate is class 4, covering the thorax and stomach hitboxes. The back plate is class 5 and is covering the upper and lower back hitboxes, and even side plates that are class 6. And on top of all that, we have the soft aramid protection covering the before mentioned hitboxes, along with more hitboxes like the neck. But it is only a class 2 armor. Since most armors use plates, which are swappable, they operate in a similar way to guns and ammo. What I mean by this is that like ammo makes the gun, the plate makes the armor. Even though armor has its default plates in it when it's sold or found, it doesn't mean they cannot be swapped for better or worse plates. I personally love putting good plates in seemingly low tier armors. That way players usually do not check the armor, don't loot it, and I get my high tier plates back from insurance. A little pro tip from me. Okay, now that we understand armor, let's talk about penetrating it with ammo. Now with your penis. For every 10 penetration a bullet has, it gains the ability to penetrate a class of armor with the highest chance, meaning a bullet with 23 pen, for example, will penetrate a class 1 and class 2 armor with ease, versus class 3 it will have some trouble, meaning a low penetration chance, and class 4, 5 and 6 it can only dream to penetrate. Just like you with Sydney Sweeney. You can easily check the penetration chance for each armor class using this dropdown right here in the ammo inspection window. Armor class and the bullet's penetration power value are not the only factors in the calculations the game makes if the ammo penetrates the armor or not. It also takes into account the armor remaining durability percentage. Using these three factors, the game rolls the chance of the bullet penetrating the PMC's armor. Do note that I did mention before that the longer the bullet travels, the less damage and penetration value it has until reaching the target. It also depends on the speed of the bullet, and the penetration value that is calculated is the penetration value upon hit, and not the baseline penetration the bullet actually has. Now if you listened closely in the armor section, you might understand that most armors require a bullet to pass through 2 layers of armor if shot in center mass. The soft aramid protection and the plate underneath it. And with each layer of armor, or a surface for that matter, a bullet passes through, it loses some penetration power and damage. And if it does penetrate, it deals between 0% and 40% less damage based on an algorithm that uses the bullet pen value and the armor's class and durability percentage. But all you have to know is that the higher the penetration chances, the less damage reduction there is. And if a bullet does not penetrate, blunt damage is applied, which lets through a tiny fraction of the damage depending on the pen value and the armor class. Blunt damage is usually very low and not a noticeable factor in time to kill. Although getting dumped with a whole mag into the head, even if it doesn't penetrate, it's enough blunt damage to just kill you. Okay, so we mentioned armor's durability percentage multiple times right now, and it has a very important role in saving you from being penetrated. But what does durability percentage even mean? Well, durability percentage of an armor is calculated by dividing the current durability of the armor by the original maximum durability the armor had. As an example, a 56 out of 56 repaired Karund front plate is calculated as 56 out of 60, which means it's about 93 durability percentage. Now, because we talked about armor durability, you must know that armors have different kinds of materials to them. Each kind of material also has its own destructibility factor, basically meaning that different materials have different levels of sturdiness. This is the list of materials and their destructibility factor. As you can see, aramid takes a lot to destroy because it has the lowest destructibility factor, and ceramic and glass are the most easily destroyed armors in the game. The material the armor is made of also determines how good it can be repaired. So ceramic armors and glasses, which are made out of glass, will be almost broken after 2 repairs, and basically I do not recommend to use them more than 2 times. Ceramic plates, and there are a lot of them, lose a lot of durability each repair, depending on how much damage they took in raid. So don't get too attached to them. And also, don't bother looting them if they're destroyed from an enemy you just killed. It's not worth the wait unless you're really desperate to have them. Now, I want to return to something important, and that's these in-game penetration chances. You need to understand that they are shown as if you shot only one shot in a fresh armor of that class. Let's take these 3 bullets for example. They are the top 3 best bullets of this caliber. As you can see, the PP bullet says it has very low penetration chance versus class 5 and 6 armors. The maximum you can actually take out of this info is that you can't one-tap a class 5 helmet or instantly penetrate a class 5 or 6 armor. But we don't shoot only one bullet in an engagement, do we? We can hit a player more times than once in their class 5 or 6 armors. And this brings us to some cool websites you need to use to really understand the potential of your bullets. I'm going to recommend 3 websites. The first one is emptied-ammo.com. It's the most user-friendly and simple to understand. The second one is the Ballistics page on the Tarkov wiki. It has the same chart but more information leading up to it for people who want a deeper dive. And the third one is the ballistic calculator in the Tarkov Gunsmith website. This is only for the most nerdiest of nerds. It lets you check every ballistic outcome based on every stat you input, like a gun, muzzle velocity, the barrel you use, and all that kinds of crap. All 3 websites are going to be linked down below in the description. For the purpose of explaining how to understand the potential of your bullets, I'm going to use the emptied-ammo.com website. Now going back to our PP bullets. If you check the penetration stat, you might think that it's just not viable or effective against class 5 and 6 armors. But if we look for it at the website, you can see that against class 5 and 6, it's marked as 4 and 3, which isn't red and isn't very low. But what do these numbers actually mean? It's not the same values as the penetration. They actually work by this here table. This chart basically shows the effectiveness of the bullets. So against tier 5 we saw that it's effective. It's ranked 4, which means that on average it will take 3 to 5 bullets to kill. Because even though it starts with low medium penetration chance, it quickly rises because upon each consecutive hit, the armor gets deteriorated and there's more chance of penetrating it. So as you can see here, PP bullets are actually pretty dope. So if you ever have doubts about any kind of bullet in the game and its actual effectiveness and capabilities, always use this website or the other websites to know exactly what it's capable of. And now one last thing I want to talk about before we part ways until the next video is the concept of ricochets. Ricochets only work on head protection and they only work at a certain angle, and it also depends on the ricochet chance that your helmet has. Bouncing a bullet off your helmet is the same as the round not penetrating your armor. It will only give you blunt damage. Guys, trust me on this one, helmets save lives. In real life and in Tarkov. Trust me on this one. And as always, this was it for today. If you have any help for the new players or any questions for me, do write them down in the comments below. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content, and as always, have a great whatever time you're having. Peace.